On Success or Excuses today, we have a very good friend of mine and business associate, Maxwell Muir. Welcome on board to the Success or Excuses podcast, Maxwell.
It's good to see you again, James. Good to be here. I like the place. It's nice.
Good. Listen, Max, before we get kicked off, why don't you just give us a wee kind of overview, a wee bit about yourself, you know, your kind of background, and because you've got an incredible story. Since the day I met you, I knew when you were going to hit it off. So just a wee bit of your background and story.
Well, we met a number of years back. We're both 7 years, is it?
7, 8, maybe even. It could even be 8. Because we're 8 years old 2 weeks ago.
So it could be 9 then.
Aye.
But because I remember we used to meet at the business centre in Livingston.
That's right.
We were both starting our journeys.
That's right.
I think we first met at a professional speaking association
That's
event
right, we did.
in Glasgow.
That's right.
At the time, I wanted to just get into a career as a speaker.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always about mindset. The topic was about mindset, resilience, mental toughness, all that stuff. But we hit it off there. So you started your business. I'd started Maxwell Muir Empowerment.
Right, that's right.
Training. It took some journey right up until 2020 when the first COVID hit. And everything went virtual speaking after that.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't the same for me. I loved the live thing. Yeah. And we did some live events together.
We did.
I can remember your very first event.
That's right, you were talking at my very first event. It was in DL Park in Motherwell.
What was it called again?
It was
the
called
topic.
Something about mindset or something.
Yeah. Change.
Aye, that's right.
It was to do with change.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to be, or something like that.
That's right. Be the change you want to be.
Yeah.
That was exactly what it was called.
So we both spoke there. I think 100 odd people turned up to that, if I remember right. But the speaking career, and then when COVID hit, I went back to doing what put bread and butter on the table at my dog trainer. Mm-hmm. And the reason I wanted to get into speaking, I'd fallen, my passion had died for the dog training. Mm-hmm. And it had died not because of the dog training itself, but the politics of it and working with certain people. I'd lost my fire. And this time I thought, right, I'm going to change this business around, and I'm going to make this business work for me, rather than me working for the business. And flat out 6 days a week.
Let me ask you a question on that. Do you think that journey for the kind of coaching, and because you were coaching as well, so the coaching, the public speaking, do you think that journey, when you went back to dog training, helped you really redefine who Maxwell Muir and what you were doing?
1,000%. 1,000%. Because the speaking and the coaching challenged me. That made me confront some self-restraining beliefs, challenges about myself. It made me step way out my comfort zone and stay out there and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a cliche, but it's true. It's true. And when I went back to it, I thought, right, one, I'm going to bring new skills into the dog training because the clients I deal with every day, it's not about it. It is about the dogs, but it's about them. Because that in itself, you'll meet every single character trait you can think of that you have to learn to deal with, so your communication skills improve. People need building in confidence. Getting them to open up about their limiting beliefs, how they've got to lead themselves, and lead their group of dogs and family groups and what have you. So yeah, 1,000%. I brought new skills into the area. Mental skills, not just to give to other clients, but to use myself. And also looked for challenges outside my work and my personal life where I could improve as a person.
Yes.
And that was the most important. And I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that. And I find that in the great outdoors, mountains, hills. I've always had fears and phobias about heights, about feeling vulnerable, stuff like that, and the grey outdoors completely challenged me. Sometimes I was out with someone more experienced and they helped me through that. Other times, my favourite was I was out alone, and I just had to figure things out, learn to trust myself, get my mind into the right set to take on challenges, and the results that you get from that, they're private to you because they're hard to put into words and share. It's just a feeling that you get. But yet, I'm learning to trust myself here. I'm really learning to trust myself, and I can feel, not just know and identify when self-doubts, negative thoughts, and sometimes they can be subtle, sometimes they can be overwhelming, but recognizing them early and saying, no, that's not going to help me here. That is not going to help me here. What is going to help me is, and being positive doesn't help you as well. Being optimistic, that helps you, but being pink, fluffy, positive doesn't help in a situation that's saying, this is it. It's going back to the whole positive mental attitude, the PMA, positive mental attitude. But if you've got a negative mindset or negative beliefs, it doesn't matter how positive you show the world, there's still something eating you inside. There's still something eating you. Absolutely. And I got confronted with that in many shapes and forms. I always reminded myself, I've put myself in this situation for a reason. Yeah. So I can either grow, and sometimes I wasn't strong enough mentally to complete the challenges, but they were great learning curves because I went away and beat myself up, gave myself a hard time, and I went back and did them again. So I had a second run at it. There's always a mountain that you maybe can't climb, or there's a river you can't cross, or a ridge that you feel vulnerable on and you turn back. But I went back and done those things again. And I'll tell you about one experience that really changed it all for me. Go there, when I was outdoors. By the way, just want to let you know, you're a brilliant storyteller. All right, cheers. Every time you tell stories, I feel like I can vividly picture it. I'm in the stories. Carry on. I love your stories, Max. Every single time I took out a map, I always think, if you're going to be good at anything, you've got to work in yourself. Yeah. Okay. That's what trusting yourself is. Involved taking it out a map. Now, I'd done a lot more challenging and on paper and physically scarier expeditions than this one. It's a place called the Hen's Hole, and it's in Northumberland. And I went down there, walked about 7 mile walk in. You've got to climb 3 waterfalls into this canyon, and they get bigger every time. And I couldn't get up and over this 3rd waterfall. It was slippy. It was a bit daunting as well. And I was meant to go to this hill on the right-hand side. That was the route. I thought, I'm not getting up and over this today. That hill on the left looks not bad. Famous last words. It doesn't look much. I thought, I'll start climbing that. So I start climbing this hill on the left. There's videos on it on my Facebook. I took videos once I got to the top, but it shook me to my boots. So the higher you climb, the less chance there is of you be able to go back, because it's too dangerous to go back the way. Yeah. So you can't go back. When you're in, you're in. You're in. When you're up neck deep, that's it. Sink or swim. It was steep, but anything I grabbed onto came away in my hands. So the roots, the plants on the hillside were shallow. And I had to deal with the heights. Don't look down. You always look down. You always look back. And as I'm gaining height, I had to control myself. So I did what you call box breathing. Long inhales in for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. Out for 4 seconds. 10 steps. Repeat. Rinse, repeat. And I really had to check, because it's the first time that I'd really felt I was in danger of a fall. And I hadn't banked on or meant to put myself in this situation at all. But I kept on going up. It wasn't straight up, it was diagonal. Then I came to some cliffs, which didn't look much from the bottom, but to navigate and get up and around them. Pulse rate, sky high. The box breathing helped keep that. Getting a foothold, getting a handhold, actually using skills that are in your subconscious and in your instincts. Eventually, plus the fog's coming in, visibility's drastically getting reduced as I get to the top. But I finally got to the top. Adrenaline dump. Huge adrenaline dump. Now you're miles in the middle of nowhere. There's no signal. You can't phone anybody anyway, but you couldn't get your phone out on the hillside. There's no one to hear you. You've just got to... I put myself in a situation by going off route, and it looked easy, and it was far from easy.
If it was easy, that would have been the route that they tell you to take.
Yeah. But eventually got to the top. That has been... Took a while to gather myself, and of course I'm away, of course. And so navigational skills, they can be daunting, but not so much what I'd call positivity got me through that. Keeping your emotions under control.
Emotional intelligence.
Got me through that. That is huge. And dumping to the side, even although the risk is all around you, what's not helping you?
Yeah.
Getting your emotion, people underestimate.
That's you being aware of that negative thoughts.
Absolutely.
Then, what's the negative? What's happening in my brain? What do I do to overcome this? Whether it's the breathing, or just thinking a bit more clearer, whatever that is. It's how to overcome that negativeness, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge. But that's one challenge. I've climbed. I'm not a mineral bagger, but I've climbed lots of mountains. I've done lots of things in my personal and business life and work life and challenges and outdoors. That has been the single greatest. Whenever I think of challenge, that comes straight to mind.
Wow.
Because the risk was high, I was vulnerable, and I had to do something about it. I had to think through it and act under pressure. And pressure's everything. It
leads so much into what this podcast is really all about, and it's about that success or excuses. So, because we don't always win, right?
No,
we don't always win, right? I've mentioned this. I've failed so many times just in the last years, but I've always been able to get myself up, dust myself down, and think, okay, what can I learn? What am I taking for this experience? And I think really as you're getting up that mountain, you're constantly having to go into that mindset that, what am I learning? How do I manage this? How do I control myself? How do I not let my emotions... Because ultimately it's the fear that starts the emotion. It's not the emotion that hits the fear. So you're having to control that motivational part of your brain, both positive and negative, to enable you to keep moving forward. That's that.
Yeah. You can use emotions that are not supporting you, and you can turn them around, but because your life's dependent on it in a situation like that, it's not like your ego's dependent on it or your reputation's dependent on it. It's a situation where you really have to get a hold of yourself right now. You don't have time to do it, and you can't stay still. You can't stay still, but stay still in so many parts of life. For fear of moving forward, some people prefer to stay still, crawl into a ditch and just hope the world ignores them.
A lot of people do, Max. A lot of people just go through life and it's almost life's happening to them rather than for them, isn't it? I know that's a real cliche, but I mean, it's just, it's crazy to sit back and think, I got one shot, right? I got one shot. I'm going to make sure I give it one hell of a go. Do you know what I mean? We get one shot. I wanted to go back, right? So obviously I know your background, Max, and you've got your younger years were quite exciting, but very challenging as well. Can you give us a wee bit of background on the younger years that got who made Max the guy he is today? Who made this
younger
guy?
Year, going how far back?
As far as you want to go back.
Oh, wow.
Like you're staying in your wee caravan with your dog and all that. I think this is a brilliant story and
when I was homeless.
Real resilience. This is real resilience. Because what I want people to listen to is everybody's got a story. Like when people look at somebody who's highly successful, one of Scotland's, if not the best dog trainer in Scotland. What got you to there? What made you become that guy? What makes somebody successful? Success. What is it that does that? And there's always a story. So that's where I want to go with this part.
It's a story of contrast, because prior to being homeless with my dog in a caravan in the Scottish wilds, prior to that, I was living in a villa in Portobello in Spain.
Marbella.
Yeah, £1.5 million villa at the time. Life of Riley, Jack the Lad, socialite.
Living the dream for a lot of people.
For a young guy. For a young guy, yeah. And completely a life of extremes.
I can picture that.
I loved it, but I wasn't going to have a long life like that,
By the way, Max, been there, we've talked about, has been that soldier.
That was going nowhere, and I'd lost quite a few friends at a young age. They were just taken young, and sometimes that was through unfortunate means, health and stuff like that. One with skin cancer, I remember, and stuff like that. But I came back. I blew it a lot. It blew everything I had. But I came back, and another friend of mine had died, and he had a wee Dalmatian pup, and I went back in to move in with my dad. He says, "You can move in, but the dog's got to go." So we disagreed. And
so this is your multi-million-pound villa in Portobello.
That's gone.
To moving into your dad's bedroom.
Yeah. So it wasn't my villa. It was the person I was living with.
That's fine.
But yeah, to moving into my dad's house, which was a no-no. So I got him all beat up Volvo, and took my dog way up north, no direction to where I was going.
Just go.
And I stopped in at this wee place called Crouphaven. It's between Oban and Ardfern. And went into this pub, had a couple of pints and a bar lunch. One of the bar staff didn't turn up. The pub was really busy. They asked if I wanted a job. The next morning, gave them a hand. They asked me if I wanted a job. I took the job, worked 7 days a week, and I crashed the next 4 months outside the pub in my tent. Just me and my dog. And after the 4 months, I found this old caravan in the woods. No heating, no water, no connections, no
I've
nothing.
Seen the pictures.
Just a shell.
I've seen the pictures
Just
in the middle of a forest.
Yeah, it's about 3 miles away from the pub. So used to travel there every day and back. Moved in there. And that was like moving into the Ritz for the tent, because you're right in the middle of the edge of the Atlantic. So the storms frequently. I woke up with a tent on top of me. And main thing was looking after my dog and just getting enough money to get by. Find myself. I just needed time out at that point in my life to figure out just what I wanted to do. So that took about a year. For having almost everything, and then having to work 7 days for chicken feed as far as money went. But it gave me time to process, think about who I was, process what had happened, and where I was going to go from there. I had no desire, no career path. I came back to Edinburgh. I worked with Royal Mail. I got a job with them. I was there for a while, and it's during my time with them that I started the dog training business. Mm-hmm. Just seemed a natural move. I was brought up with dogs, stuff like that, It just seemed a natural move for me. Did that part-time for a while, 2 jobs, got married, had my son, balancing 2 jobs with that. It was quite stressful. And eventually I made the break, started my business. Spent about the first 5 years really getting that. And people think you start a business and clients are going to come flooding in. It doesn't even matter how good you are. No. People don't trust you because you're a new face. They don't know you.
They don't know you.
They don't know you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's such a cliche, isn't it? That no like and trust.
Yeah.
But it's a game changer in business if you put yourself out there, isn't it?
They've got to know who you are.
But the only way they're going to know who you are is if you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do whatever it takes to be noticed and to show, I know my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I really know
Yeah.
my shit here, isn't it?
And people are buying you.
Aye, absolutely.
Let's face it, coaches are 10 a penny.
Absolutely.
Dog trainers are 10. There's many of them.
Yeah.
And there's good ones, there's average ones, there's
Not so good ones.
rubbish ones. Aye. And but to get known, and like you say, to put yourself out there and to be, whether that's social media or meeting people in person, word of mouth, which is the best to this very day. I haven't advertised my business in many years.
Wow. That's what
Spend no
happens,
money.
when you're at the top of your game, though, isn't it?
I have a website.
Yeah.
It's all comes through recommendations,
Yeah.
words of mouth. He's the man. Go and see him.
Yeah.
And
I want to rewind back.
Yeah.
Right, where we talked about the getting it there, right? And this is how we met.
yeah, that's right.
It's
yeah.
about, right, I believe, right, and this is a really good point for people to listen to. If you want, see, I always look at, like, financial gain, right, is it's a byproduct of you being really good at something,
Yeah.
right? And to be really good at something, right, you've got to be willing to put in more hours than everybody else, right? You've got to be willing to do, constantly learn. Now, whether it's the psychology, animals, or in my world, the psychology of leadership and
Yeah,
people,
it's
and
the same.
I mean,
It's the same.
we when the early doors of our business journey, when we met was we constantly were out there at every event, networking. Talking to anybody that would want us to talk. We spoke at the events, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were at. You've got to really put yourself out there, and it can be quite uncomfortable, even if you're a confident person. It can be really uncomfortable because you don't know these people.
Yeah.
Right, and I think, and another point I wanted to mention about that, having to put yourself out there. I constantly keep learning. I honestly believe, Max, right? I learn. Every single day is a win or learn for me. Every day, I'm up early. I've got my podcast on, or I've got an audiobook on. Every day in my life, I'm trying to learn to be a better business owner, to be a better person, to be a better leadership person. Just to be at the top of my game, and that means you constantly have to learn. And it must be the same with dogs. You must be learning so much with different breeds, and because the dog world's it can be a scary world.
Consciously. So when you say we have to put in extra hours, that doesn't mean working 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day.
No.
So when you get, during your waking hours, it's like you say, I'm either thinking about it or I'm educating myself in some other way, or it's occupying my mind all my waking hours. Even when I'm having time with families and time off, that doesn't mean that they go short of time or anything like that, but that drive has got to be there. So it's a constant, and subconsciously, when you're sleeping or resting or during sundry moments, you're constantly thinking about what you can do, what you can learn, how you can apply, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what suits you. It's a constant. Yeah. And that 5 years is 5 24-hour days. 5 years of 24-hour days. It really is. And it's the same. When I went into the speaking, I lived it and breathed it.
Absolutely.
If you chase the money, you're gonna fall flat before you get off first base.
Absolutely.
If you chase if the money's the important thing, find something else, because it'll be passion will carry you. Chasing money won't carry you.
No.
And that'll emanate from you. People will see that.
The desperation.
I talk to you. I know you're passionate about what you do.
Absolutely.
I know you live it and breathe it. It's not something you do. It's the way you live.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the way you live. So when I was chasing speaking, I was designing keynotes and talks when I had no one to speak to.
Yeah.
I had no events planned or anything like that, but I would pick a topic and say, how would I get this over to someone? How would I feel about this? And
I remember the time. You remember when you were flying to Canada? You were doing a speaking event. Was it Canada? Wasn't it?
Ottawa.
And on the plane, you had your whole kind of pitch and all, but on the plane you started to change it all, didn't you?
That's right.
I remember you sending me the pictures.
And I had a big learning curve there as well, because that was my biggest...
I want to just quickly talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this, right? So Max has sat and he's practiced this talk? How would you describe the talk?
It was a presentation. I was one of 15 speakers or something over there.
So it was a talk that you prepared and planned.
Yeah.
And it was a story. It was a story. It was a beautiful story, right? And you've got this planned and prepared, and you've probably practiced it thousands of times before you go on that flight.
Solid for 3 or 4 months.
A lot.
Yeah.
And then you get on the plane and you decide you're going to change it.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah.
Anyway, go for it.
The topics, so it was to a business group. It was getting delivered to people for all walks of business life, and it was the biggest stage I'd been on.
It was a big stage. The main, serious big speakers.
The main coach was internationally well known, and he coached us for 3 days with our talk on the stage before we went up and delivered it live. But I'm on the plane and I've got this talk. One mistake I never ever made again, because I was trying to memorise it. So essentially you're working from a script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even although it's a personal experience and all of that stuff. And I thought, I don't like this, don't like that, don't like that. So it's like 5 minutes to midnight and I'm changing the whole thing. And I'm sitting next to this woman. And she's looking over. She's quite interested in what I'm doing. So she asked. And I said, just making a few small changes and stuff like that. So I went to the toilet and had to queue. So I was gone maybe 15 minutes, nearly 20 minutes. And I came back. And she scribbled a lot of things on the paper. And she's crossed out some stuff. She changed my talk as well. So it became this mishmash, everything I could do. And I made some sense of it, and then I was looking at it again. I got into the airport, and I'm having a coffee. I'm waiting to be picked up, and this guy saying hello to me, and he spilt his coffee, and it went all over my script. And I thought, you know what? I just binned it. I just ripped it up. Like I thought, I'm just going to have to deliver from myself.
Yeah.
Not rely on. It was a confidence thing that I needed a script. It was a crutch.
Absolutely. And it is a crutch, by the way.
Yeah.
When you try to script something.
Yeah.
A script is great. A script is great for learning your content.
Yes.
The flow of your content.
Yeah.
And then bin it. And then bin it.
You've got to bin it as soon as possible.
Once you think, I've got it, you need to bin it. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about.
Learning speak about something that you do or something that you're going to talk about in 4 or 5 different ways is best, because it can't run to script if you do that.
Yeah.
I gave 2 talks. I gave one from the script, which was live, and I gave a second talk, live one, which was completely unprepared. And I told them about that story.
Right. Yeah.
So I told them the last talk there was a scripted talk. And I'd put myself through painstaking hours trying to retain all that and deliver it. This is about doing that, and it's completely off the cuff. And I got a standing applause. They were all laughing and everything. I connected. I felt better. I felt free.
Yeah.
I could express myself, and I came back and I thought, I'll never in my life will I work from a script again. I'll have some type of structure.
Absolutely. Structure. If you don't have a structure, you're in a mess.
Your intro, your body, your conclusion.
Yeah.
And that's the same with communicating or your pitch, presenting your business or anything like that. But the rest is coming from the heart. What you see is what you get. It's coming from me. And that's all to do with people trusting you as well. So if it comes straight from you, you can make as many mistakes as you want, because it's not about making mistakes. It's about being authentic.
And connecting with your audience, isn't it?
Yeah.
100%.
And people are like, I'll buy for that person. Because they're open. I trust that.
Absolutely.
I trust that.
Do you know, Max, I think that's why the Power Within has been so successful, because everything that we do is so authentic.
Yeah.
It's for the heart, it's for lived experiences. Even when I look at the people that we employ, everybody's got real lived experiences is something that they're teaching or talking about. So when I go, and I don't do a lot of training now, but when I go and do training every now and again, I feel amazing. right? And all I'm doing is repeating all my stories, and I go in tangents all the time because I've got a structure, but because they're my stories, I can go anywhere I want with them.
Absolutely.
And so I've seen me sometimes, sitting in a room full of CEOs and CFOs and senior, managing directors, and I'm away telling stories, and I'll swear every now and again, and I'll go, sorry about that, and then I'll turn around and go, what was I telling that story for?
Yeah.
Like, I've completely forgot why I was even... And that's the beauty of having a passion for wanting to help, wanting people to... I love watching the wee... See, when I like to say it's like the lights turning on.
No doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
The lights turning on. I mean, I've just recently, maybe a few months ago, I had a guy, senior leader for a big company, and I was worried because I thought he had this blank expression, and I was 4 or 5 hours into it was a 4-day program. I was 4 or 5 hours into day one, and I can see people. I love to gauge them and watch people in the audience, right? And I had everybody was engaged, and this guy seemed quite blank. And I'm thinking, I'm not getting this. I tried to engage a bit more with him. And then see, at the end, I always say, I ask everybody at the end, feedback. I like, because I'm a believer of all feedback is good.
Oh, yeah.
All feedback is good feedback. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as negative feedback.
Yeah.
Because negative just means that's, if it's a few people saying the same thing, something needs to change. If it's every now and again, because you can't please everybody all the time. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get, and I got to this, everybody's saying, feedback, and I think this was incredible, James, and I've never experienced any leadership training like this in my life, and this is completely not what I was expecting. I was told to come on this programme, and I got to this one person, and I was expecting really negative feedback, and they went, this has just changed my life.
So he's been deep in thought.
And I'm like, what? He
Yeah.
says, the stories that you have told. He says, I thought I was a good leader, James. And this was day one, remember. He says, I thought I was a good leader. He says, I'm managing my team. I'm not a leader.
Yeah.
He says, and I was so... So I says to him, look, I was noticing you. I was actually worried what you were going to say.
Yeah.
And he said, I was self-reflecting literally for the moment you opened your mouth. He says, I was sitting in this self-reflecting mode thinking, that's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. And he was going through this
realization,
and he was blank, and it was
yeah.
just this self-reflection. And I thought, I'm not engaging. I'm not getting this guy. And at the end, he's just like, this has just changed my life. And I'm like,
and it's gone off in those tangents and stories that have done
exactly.
that. But you don't run, and you've been able to free yourself up. And it's my advice to anybody that does it: learn to drop your ego.
Aye.
Because people don't remember what you say or how great you sound. They won't even remember. They'll remember 10% or less than what you're talking about, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
100%.
And if they take one nugget out of what you're saying, that whole workshop's been beneficial for them.
Absolutely.
And your workshop's what? 3-4 hours duration, sometimes all day.
Depends. So there's 4-day workshops, there's 6-day workshops, there's 1-day workshops, there's 2-day.
So
it just
if he
depends.
goes home with just that,
Absolutely.
that you've made him feel and come to some self-actualization about himself.
Absolutely.
Value.
Aye.
He's got value.
Absolutely.
Just because you told your stories.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's all about.
That even speaking's about that, isn't it? It's about telling a story that touches people. Anyway, I want to go back, Max. We've still got a bit of time, so we're good to go. I want to go back to the last few months, if you don't mind me. We'd reached out and had a wee chat, and I got some. You gave me some news that's you're going through in your life, and I was pretty. Taken aback, we'll call it. Do you mind if it's all right if I ask about it? It's all right if you talk about it?
Absolutely.
So go and tell us the story. What happened? What came around? And by the way, the reason I want to ask, and I hope this is okay, is because there might be somebody listening.
Right, okay.
And they might be thinking to themselves,
right.
Because I know you're a really fit guy.
Yeah.
I know you're a very healthy guy. Your dietary, everything, you're a very, very fit, healthy guy. So I'm going to leave it at that for you.
I keep fit because I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Me too.
Not just because I have to type thing. I never feel compelled to go out walking or go to the gym or do whatever, right? There's a crew of guys that I sometimes train with in the gym. Good bunch of guys that we
You like your boxing and all that
absolutely.
as well. You're right, and that's your thing.
I love all that, yeah. That I have done for as far back as I can remember, you know. But I turned 60 last Thursday. And 27th
congratulations.
February. Thank you.
For hitting the big 6-0.
Thank you. And there's one of the guys who I work with in the gym. And as I got to know him, because I haven't known the guys that long, but we shoot the breeze good. And he told me he's got prostate cancer. His mates told me, and then he told me.
Yeah.
And I felt gutted for him. I'm like, man, how did that make you feel? I wanted to ask him questions, but I didn't want to get too personal, but because we're just in the beginnings of really knowing each other. And he says, you should go and get yourself tested and stuff like that, you know. So it's a thing to do in over 50 guys.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I've got myself tested.
Have you?
Yes,
right.
I did.
So
I went and get the bloods and all that taken.
Contacted my doctor for a PSA test.
Yep.
And I think I waited about a week, came back a wee bit high, so she says, can you come in for another one? Went in for another one. That came in high. She says, we'd like to send you in for an MRI. Went in for an MRI. I think it took maybe 2-3 weeks. And the guy for the hospital phoned me up. He says, we're just suspicious of a wee dark patch on the left side of your prostate. Could you come in for a biopsy? My worst nightmare, having a biopsy.
Yeah.
Or anything that ends with opsy puts a fear of God in me.
You know,
it
you're
really
getting attacked
does.
with a knife in some way, shape, or form.
It's invasive. Anything like that's invasive. And I know the other groups of guys have not gone in for tests because they're scared of digital rectal examination, the finger, to find and stuff like that. So a biopsy's a bit more than that. So I went
I want before you tell me let's go back a wee bit.
Aye.
When they told you when it was high, what was going on in your mind? Because I know you're a really positive guy, but what was actually going on in your mind?
Not a lot.
Not
a lot. I thought, right, PSAs now can be high for any reason.
Aye, sure.
So,
Okay.
so I didn't. I'm not a catastrophic thinker in any way.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to ask that, because I know you're exactly not like that.
I just got on with it, and I thought, right, so we'll see what the MRI reveals. That'll be more revealing. So when he says with the MRI, now when I got the MRI result over the phone, when he told me to come in, I was on my way home to pick my dog up to take it to the vets to be put to sleep. My older dog, right? So I'd had that in my mind the last couple of days that my dog's about to go, and I called time on the old boy. And I'm 10 minutes from my house. He says, we're just suspicious of a wee dark patch on the left side of the prostate. So I've got to know more of my prober, and I suppose they've got to be careful because there's only so much they can tell you over the phone. It's a face-to-face thing. I says, how suspicious are you? He says, highly suspicious. I went, right, so this is occupying my mind. So one worry, or trauma, dealing with my dog, is dimmed by what I've got at the back of my mind with this. So then I started thinking, right, suspicious. That's an educated opinion. So you can either think the worst, or you put faith, wait and see, and stuff like that. So I psyched myself up. But it was 2 weeks later I got the date for the biopsy. I had to psych myself up for this procedure. Really scared of invasive procedures. What a biopsy is a camera with a needle gone into your back passage. It lasts between 10 to 15 minutes. You can feel very vulnerable with all that.
Absolutely.
And there were points where I had to still my nerves, steal my mind, and say, can I do this? You know, it's asked for a full anaesthetic. They says, no, you get a local. So you're fully aware.
Oh, wow.
Great team. They kept you gone. And at the moment when it comes to the crunch, as I always do, there are certain things I'll worry about in the lead up to an event. But when it comes to the crunch, I'm pretty good at getting a handle on my emotions.
Yeah.
And myself. So I went through with it. And then I went for the face-to-face consultation. And I've got early stages prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm. Shit.
That's what he told me. He just hearing the word cancer, can shake you to your boots. Mm-hmm. But going into that face-to-face consult, I expected something. And you start looking at more awareness. I mean, when you look at Chris Hoy, he didn't get it seen too early. He's got stage 4.
No.
I think he's got about 5 years in him or something.
By the way, it was
like that.
Chris Hoy story that made me go and get my PSA test.
Wow.
It was that story. It was Enas.
Right.
It says to me,
good
that's
honour.
about your age.
Yeah, good
Go
honour.
and get your check. And I'm going, I'm fine, I'm healthy.
Yeah,
Usual. I'm
that.
fine, I'm healthy. But I went and got done it and it came clear. But I actually did quite a lot of research on it, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And it can be early stage prostate. You can go and live a normal life and nothing, have that no side effects if you catch it early enough. Is that right? Is that?
Yeah, well,
because a lot of doctors don't actually want to treat. They'll say, I wouldn't do anything with that now. I would leave it. Sorry, I might just be.
No, well, I wanted to know a wee bit more.
Right.
So I says, what early stage I'm at? Mm-hmm. So he says, you're at the higher end, the early stage.
Right.
So to me, there's levels to
Right,
it.
okay, right.
So you've got early stage, you've got mid stage, and you've got advanced stage.
Yep.
So I'm meeting with my surgeon on the 15th April, which is a wee bit away.
Yeah.
So you can't allow that time. There's no room for a worry. There's just no room for
So
it.
how do you? So somebody's listening, right? And they've been checked and they're maybe going through something similar. What's happening in your brain? What's allowing you to overcome that? Because it can be really easy. You can really is it just who Max now is based on your life experiences? So what's enabling you to be so strong? Because when I spoke to you, you were super strong. It was just like, it's all right. We'll deal with it. What is that?
Well, at first, it shook me to my boots.
Right.
Perfectly
so
honest.
It
Floored me for 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. Floored me not being down and depressed, but floored me in putting life into perspective and appreciating the small things that you take for granted, that however much time you've got left. Now, it could be long, could be 10, 15 years, it could be less, depending on what stage you're at.
Yeah.
That what's important is quality of life and having a fuller appreciation of life. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for a better quality of life rather than understand if someone feels sorry for himself. I totally get that.
Yeah.
We're only human.
Yeah,
but I didn't want to feel sorry for myself. Like I thought, right, I've got a bit of a fight ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
in.
you're up for it.
Yeah. Absolutely, I'm up for it. I'll go down swinging. It's in any walk of life. Something else might get me first.
Yeah.
It's depending on how they do this. It might be a case of monitoring it. It might be a case of radiotherapy or any other treatments that they do. But monitoring it is quite specific. It's every 3 months where you get a digital rectum examination, you get your bloods taken, and you get an MRI. So it's very structured. My life is not so much packet way action, but just to live more and have a better perspective on it. Mm-hmm. I don't suffer BS anymore in my life. I've got no time for it.
Absolutely.
I've got no time for.
Well, that's my thing.
fakery.
Bullshit. No interest.
I've got no time for fake. That is one of the things I dwell on. Is what am I binning?
Yeah.
What am I binning in my own mind?
Yeah.
What am I binning that's around me that I just don't need?
Yeah.
How can I fill it with quality? Quality personal time, quality family time, quality friends time, because that's all you've got.
Absolutely.
That is all you've got. It's not about material things. It's not about anything tangible like that. It's so my focus is on, I've got a little bit of unknown ahead of me, but that is not going to define my life as long as I'm fit and healthy, because you can still be fit and healthy and have an illness.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean you're ill and that's over.
Absolutely.
Healthy mind, healthy body, and as long as my mind's healthy, I'll take my body to wherever it can go. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that my goals have fell by the wayside. I've got passions. I wouldn't call them hobbies. I've got a history channel that I have on YouTube, which I'm out doing regularly. Yeah. I love it.
Sweet.
I absolutely love it.
It was a lot about the Scottish Bannockburn and all that, was it? You did a lot
Robert
of that
the
stuff.
Bruce
Robert the Bruce.
the Scottish Wars of Independence. So I like nothing better. I don't have to be climbing mountains and hills. Just being out there. I love spreading awareness about it. I like the feedback that I get, that people love. So I'm giving something out there as well as living. There's no money in it. Yeah. I'm doing it because I love it.
Absolutely.
And I won't stop doing that. I've got plans for that to grow. I've got plans for my work to grow in certain areas, not necessarily get bigger, but work better so I can have better quality time.
Yep.
My quality time is the most important for me.
So time has been a big factor then. So
huge.
That was the kind of, I've just been told news and knew that infinite life that I thought I was going to have was...
You're facing your own mortality.
Mortality, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
I've heard the guys, there's a guy that climbs mountains with my Uncle Joe. He's 77. He got diagnosed 15 years ago. Now his lifestyle, obviously, I'm thinking helps, but there's nothing your lifestyle can do if, for example, your advanced stage.
Absolutely.
But if you get something early and you've got a good lifestyle and you've got a good attitude to life, you can live a life. Mm-hmm. Like I say, it's something else might get you before that. You Absolutely. Know what I mean? So it's certainly not. I don't feel like there's a curtain falling in any way like that. I refuse to think that way. Yeah, now and again you might get a moment,
human nature,
a reality check, James. But I'm good at checking those reality checks if they're not. I love being happy. I love the feeling of being happy. I love the feeling of making people happy.
Absolutely.
And I love people being happy around me.
Absolutely.
And that's all I care about. That there's love there. That there's I get up and there's something to do, something I want to do. It's something that I've got the privilege that I can go and do that. Yep. I've worked my ass off in life, you know. Yeah,
that's passion. That's living a life with passion, and with passion comes happiness.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I talked about
you
this.
don't buy happiness.
No, you can't. I talked about this on a podcast back in October last year, and somebody had asked me about success. Mm-hmm. And I said, I used to believe success was monetary. Right, you know, oil and gas industry, and I lived quite a lavish lifestyle, years ago.
Nice cars,
and nice cars, the houses, the swimming pools, and the garden, all that. And I thought that was success, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
And then I started up my business, and as we talked about, it's really, really difficult, and it's a really, really hard slog to get known and to build a business. But I realised that my success is me and Inas and the people in our business and the people in our team and what we offer the world. And I'm like, whoa, like that's when you can be so passionate about something, but you absolutely love it, that you'll do 18 hours a day and it doesn't feel like it.
And you'll love the stress that comes with it.
Absolutely.
You'll love the stress.
It's good stress.
Yeah.
There's some days not so good.
Yeah.
But in the majority of days, it's good stress. And I'm not comparing that to
problem
cancer.
Solving.
But what I'm trying to say is it's the mindset is the same.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to that success and excuses mindset. It's the mindset. We can be victims or we can fight.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. We can wallow or we can deal with it and move forward. I've got a saying, right? Life, right? It's like people say, oh, it's just the hand of cards I've been dealt with. And I always say, rip the fucking cards up.
Yeah, get rid of
them. Deal yourself a new hand.
Yeah.
Because every day you wake up is a new day and you decide the story.
Yeah.
Right? I used to have a saying, I don't know if you remember this in the early days, live your dreams, write your own story. How it ends is up to you. I used to finish all my pitches and
I
all
remember,
with
yeah.
live your dreams, write your own story, because how it ends, it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's just as it's such an incredible, like, no matter what life throws at you, whether it's in business, you know, your personal life, humans have an incredible ability to decide how we're going to act or react.
Yeah.
And I think it's that really enables us to live a happy, fulfilled life. Would you agree?
Without a doubt. And with someone like yourself and Enos, who has a team around you, if that's all about money, your team will come and go.
Absolutely.
They won't give their best because they don't feel their best, but you looking after them, but because you think a lot of your team.
Absolutely.
And you share that, you're creating an energy around who you are and what you do. Getting tired or working 2 long days doesn't come into it.
Absolutely.
That's not a thing. It's you wake up, you're ready
to go. And the whole team feel like that as well. That's what's incredible. Is that everybody in our business have all got life experiences. They're no people who have come in. People don't join my company, right, to make huge salaries, because we've got a very fixed. We're on good money, but it's very fixed, right? People don't come in to be on big salaries. People want to join the Power Within because they believe in my vision.
Yeah.
They see what we're doing. They see the impact. They see the feedback. They see the reviews.
Yeah.
People are like, I want to be part of that. And what happens? This is what happens is they come in. And they're like, I've now got a platform. They've now found a platform to be authentic them. Because I don't have any structure or any any limitations on who they become and what they almost have a free reign within the framework of motivational intelligence, what we've built and created. Within that framework, go do it.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Absolutely.
You want to do speeches at colleges, you want to get into university, go do it. Go get the word out there. Tell people about motivational intelligence. I don't care.
Yeah,
you know, and it's an incredible feeling to have people run about you like that. And that's, again, it rubs off on other people, the passion that me and Enos have for what we do. And I think that's why we clicked right for the word go, because you're a very passionate guy.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first day we were sitting in we were waiting to get into the room, we were sitting outside and they were having a cup of tea and that.
That's
and
right,
I just started talking to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm just starting the journey. And I'm like, oh, me too. And we went, listen, Mark, before we wrap up, I'm obviously going to put your details on the podcast, but if anybody wants to speak to you or reach out to you, whether it's about your journey or what you're going through now, or the dogs, which, by the way, the best dog trainer in Scotland, dogs, how do they get a hold of you, Max?
Okay, as far as the dogs go, the business is Action for Dogs. That's the number 4. Website of the same name, .co.uk. If anyone's interested in what I do outside the dogs, we're a history channel. I've got Robert the Bruce, Genius of Bannockburn, YouTube channel. You can see me on there. You can email me over the Action for Dogs website, and if I can help with anything privately with what you're going through and just improve your mind on it, you can get in touch with me through that as well. You know, it's I'd say my goals, just to finish off, my goals have gotten greater since this personal challenge has reared its head. I'm up for it. And I know eventually, if we live long enough, something's going to get us, life's going to get us.
Absolutely.
But whenever the end of days are in life, and this is not a morbid thing, I want to be satisfied with my days.
Absolutely, Max.
I want to be satisfied.
No regrets.
No regrets.
You know, that's my thing, isn't it? Like, I want to be sitting in that final day with my family around about me, my daughter, my wife, my parents probably, hopefully, and I mean that in a nice way, that I live long enough, and just to go, you know what, I made a lot of mistakes, but my God, did I leave a mark in life?
Absolutely.
I have not, and I don't have regrets. That's a real good, real thing. I actually don't regret. I've had lessons that have taught me things that I needed to learn at the time I needed to learn them. But that no regrets, would you agree? It's just having that life. You just sit there and go,
The only thing we lack in youth is experience. You've got that energy and vigour, and you like to go for stuff. And people often say, well, if I could do it all again, knowing what I know now, here's what I would do. And even for high achievers like in life, look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a great documentary of him. It goes through his bodybuilding years, then it goes through his business years, and the third part's going through his retirement years. Even when he looks back, he says it's not enough. And I think to a degree we've got time indefinite in our hearts.
Aye, absolutely.
If we could live forever, we would have a lifetime of goals, of expansion, of ourselves and what we want to do.
And it's the mindset that allows us to look forward to life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because we can manage the negative, because we all have negative thoughts and self-limiting beliefs.
Of
we all
course.
We're humans, right? We're in fact, we're actually evolved that way. It's to protect us. Yeah. But it's been able to identify and manage the thoughts and say, you mentioned it, does this actually serve me any purpose? And if the answer's no, get it out.
Yeah.
Get it out that head.
Yeah.
What is it I need to do? How do I need to feel? Because this is where my life's going. And that's really what your story for me has always been about, and why I wanted you to come on, Max, is right for your younger years, you've even through adversity and challenge, you're still a really good guy through it all. You know, you're a happy, healthy, good guy.
It's important to me that I can be a good guy, as in decency, honesty, loyalty. They're important traits for me, no matter what I succeed or fail in. They're important to me that I retain them and people remember me for that, or know me for that.
I remember you saying to me, I remember we met up at a hotel one day and I was saying, right, you need to do this and do that and watch it for these people. They're you know, you need to be really careful, Max. You turn and say to me, James, why you help me? And I says to you, why no?
Aye. Yeah.
Like, why no? Why would I no help another business owner?
Yeah.
To no fall into some of the traps that I've fell into. And that's how I've built my whole business around, don't fall into the traps that I fell into.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what our life is, or what I believe success is all about, is, you know, helping other people, being authentic.
You gave freely.
You know, absolutely.
There was no cost to a single thing you gave. In fact, you couldn't give enough.
Aye.
If people asked, you shared. If there was anything that would help them, you shared.
Absolutely.
And
that's how I want people to be with me.
That's not a common thing.
No.
It's not common.
I know.
The people like that are not ten a penny.
Aye.
So it's a real gold nugget to have a friend like that, and to have someone in business like that, someone in your life like that. There's no time for bullshit.
Absolutely. Listen, Max, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been my pleasure.
We could talk and talk and tell stories forever. But listen, thank you for coming on, Max. And, you know, as I said, if MDs want to reach out to Max, there'll be details on the podcast at the end. And thanks again for listening.
Thanks, James. Thank you.